As the eyes of the world look on towards Miami, Houston, and Tokyo for the World Baseball Classic, we here at the Namoli Family Stadium are ready for Game 2 of a softball doubleheader on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. I'm Taylor Stoley, joined by Victor Anderson for today's matchups. And fresh off of a complete game shutout, the Spartans are looking to make it a clean weekend sweep, a 6-0 run potentially through their spring break games. But Victor, this will be a tough test as Southwest Minnesota State brings their ace to the circle, and for Tampa, the freshman Coda Travers.
Coda Travers making her fourth career start, picked up her first career win the last time we saw her in the circle. That was against Lynn in a series finale last Saturday. Went 4 innings, gave up a hit, an unearned run, struck out 2 to pick up her first career win, although it did get a little dicey in the end for the Tampa pitching staff, but Travers was able to hold on. She's 1-1 in the season with a 3.18 ERA. Her control has been better. 3 strikeouts, 8 walks, and 11 innings pitched. Now, 5 of those walks came in that loss she suffered at St. Leo in the series finale 2 weekends ago. And I think the biggest thing right now is Travers gets ready to deal out the first pitch to Riley Kremelich, is keeping the control down and not letting these Mustang backs get any momentum.
First pitch on the way. It'll be on the corner for strike 1. Let's take a look at the Mustangs' order as we start the game. It'll be Kremelich leading off, followed by Grace Anderson, the battery mate for the pitcher later on, Jordan Marsh. Swinging a miss 0-2 is batting third is Eliza Ocker. Batting fourth is Emma Humple. Batting fifth, Jordan Marsh, who will be in the circle for the Mustangs. Batting sixth is Paris Van Dyke, playing at the designated player position. Batting seventh, Kaylee Hafferman. One away, quick play from Newpaver at the hot corner. Good grab on the slow roller. Batting eighth, Lexi Inglis. And rounding out the order, making her first appearance today, will be Kanna Brentschneider. While the designated fielder will be Carly Steck over at the hot corner. Given that the Mustangs are running a pitcher and designated player, they've got an open spot for a designated fielder, which they will use for their 9-hitter in Game 1. Picked up at short on the very first pitch to Anderson, 2 down immediately on groundouts for Travers. Just like when McGinnis, getting some weak contact to start the game, but that'll bring Ockers. Had some pretty powerful swings today to the plate for the Mustangs. Victor, how about that Tampa defense?
Well, the Tampa defense has been solid all season long. Going to go with the same lineup they've had in Game 1. John Zekman feeds the outfield left to right. Salisbury, Getter, Reynolds, and Newpaver. And Newpaver lets that one go to Reynolds.
And just dropped at first base. That'll be an error on the first base player. A potential inning-ending play gives the Mustangs their first base runner. The throw was on target from Kenzie Reynolds, but just tough to make the catch there for Salisbury.
And Newpaver was charged in and then gave way to Reynolds, who still made a throw, but Salisbury had to pop out of her glove and give Emma Humple an opportunity with 2 outs on the E3.
That'll be ball 1 to Humple, leading off now with 2 away for the Mustangs. The second base player had an 0-for-3 day after a tough Game 1. Travers, the 1-0. Just high, 2-0. The umpires flipping positions for Game 2 of the series. From the infield to home plate is Rick Sanzone, with Kayla Carpenter playing in the middle infield, or potentially not. As for now, the count will go 2-1. Humple up to Reynolds. Will be a close play at first. This time the throw is caught and the inning's over. So a little bit of danger after a 2-out error. But that runner gets stranded as Tampa holds on to the early tie. Let's see how Tampa's offense does against one of the best pitchers in D2 when we return. we continue the action at the Namoli Family Stadium. It'll be Jordan Marsh getting the start in the circle today for Southwest Minnesota State. She'll be here in Game 2 instead of Game 1 after Ramsey Hopp had 5 innings, got hit around a bit in the 4th and 5th. But the first trip through the order was pretty quiet for the Spartans. That is what Marsh will be hoping to do here. Before we go deeper into the ace of the Mustangs, let's take a quick look at the Spartans lineup. Jenna Newpaver leads off. Aubrey Zekman is back batting second in the order. Kenna Kreidler bats third, and Cam Feast bats cleanup. Micaiah Brumble-O'Neill batting fifth as that one's fouled away, 1-1 to Newpaver. And Carly Salisbury is batting sixth. Abby Johns is down at seventh, Hannah Yetter eighth, Kenzie Reynolds ninth. Tampa returning to their standard batting order that they've had throughout this home stretch. The shift for Johns up to second has been reverted, with the strong-hitting Zekman pulling back up to the top of the plate. Now the 1-2, hit foul again. And as we continue, Victor, I think now is a good time to take a look at Jordan Marsh and her 9-0 start to the season.
Jordan Marsh, one of the best pitchers in Division II, 1.47 ERA, 63 strikeouts, only 16 walks. Opponents are batting .224 against the sophomore. Couldn't get strikeout number 64 in the season. Makes the count even 2-2. Has gone from a bullpen ace to the ace of this staff, and laces that one at the knees to freeze Newpaver for out number 1.
Tough take down low and a good breaking ball from Marsh. Has kept an above 7 K through 7 on the season, and now has a 4-1 strikeout to walk ratio, something you definitely want to see when your starter has such strong strikeout stuff. 0-1 now to Zekman in Game 1. She picked up a 1-for-2 day with an RBI and got replaced late game with a pinch hit appearance for Kelsey Winters. So it'll be a good idea to see what Zekman can do right here. Now back batting second, 0-2.
I think that RBI single really gave some confidence to the freshman who was mired in her first mini slump of her Tampa career.
That one's high, a bit of rising action from Marsh. I imagine that pairs up pretty well with her changeup, north to south arsenal from the ace. As that one also goes a little high. Zekman running forward for a slapper, but keeps the bat on her shoulder. 2-2 now. And Marsh will roll this to second. Will be a close play, even though it was hit pretty well. Humpel gets out number 2.
So with 2 down, let's set up the defense for Southwest Minnesota State. Riley Kramelich will be in left. Kaylee Hafferman will be in center. Kenna Brett Schneider will be in right. Around the infield, Eliza Acker at first. Emma Humpel, who made that play for out number 2. She'll be at second. Shortstop will be played by Lexi Ingles. Carly Steck will be at third. Grace Anderson will do the catching for Jordan Marsh, who did ball 1 to Kenna Kreidler.
Kreidler couldn't get a hit in the previous game, but did have a productive sacrifice bunt and a walk. And she'll swing and miss on a 1-1. Slowed it down there. Good stuff from Marsh to get it back even in the count. Clouds in the sky, but a beautiful day here in Tampa. Things have cooled down just a touch, I think, since the pregame warm-ups. But it's been pretty hot and humid. Around 87 degrees was the pregame temperature. As the count goes 2-2 now to Kreidler. Another whiff out of Marsh, looking to end the inning to go 1-2-3 against the top of the Spartans order. That one's fouled back, and Kreidler stays alive.
Marshall last time out got knocked around versus Northwood in a wild 8-7 come from behind win for the Mustangs. Went all 7 innings, give up a season high in hits, runs, and earned runs. But still was able to pick up the win as the Mustangs scored 3 in the bottom of 7 to scrape by with the 8-7 win to put Marsh to 9-0 in the year.
Payoff pitch fouled away. Will go again. And a big thing for Marsh as well. She has been invincible this season. 9-0 in 10 appearances. That 10th appearance, a save out of the bullpen. So she's picked up decisive decisions every single time she's touched the circle. And none of them have been on the losing end. Can she do it again against the Spartans? 3-2's popped back and off the net. So, again, Kreidler continuing a lengthy battle. Each of the Spartans have had some pretty long fights against Marsh in the early going. But you imagine she's got the ability to go the distance, has had complete games every time on the circle. Ball 4.
Good-looking pitch from Marsh. Try to catch that outside corner, but could not find that target. And it'll bring up Cam Feast.
So, for Kenna Kreidler, it is walk number 15 on the season. She's picked up 15 of the 48 Spartan free passes on the year, as that'll be Ball one, Kreidler's going to go to second. She is safe. The throw there not in time. And as the count goes 1-0 to Feast, that was on the corner of the plate but not called a strike. It's a wild pitch that will advance Kreidler halfway home. And Cam Feast is on fire. 3 for 3 on the day as the count goes 1-1, this time hitting the corner. Feast now up to 6 RBIs.
And Feast, we're leaving that 3 for 3 day. Minus the support.
Hit into deep right field, but tracking it is Brent Schneider. Catch made, inning over. So the Spartans do get a runner in scoring position after that 2-out walk, but they are left on the base path. So Marsh and Travers, hitless in the first, will be back in the top of the second. So about ready to go. Travers ready to continue. Good start for her in the circle. The stats page isn't correct with her only having 6 pitches in the first inning, but it was a pretty quick outing out there to start the ball game. It'll be Marsh, Paris Van Dyke, and Kaylee Hefferman due up this time around for the Mustangs.
This is really for Travers an opportunity where she had limited action in the first inning to try to get herself some momentum. And the biggest thing as well is that when we saw her last against Lynn, she had some trouble in the first inning, really settled in and left with the lead. But Tampa gave Lynn a little bit more fight than they had to, as that was in for a called strike to Marsh, and was able to pick up her first career win.
Here's the 1-0, and that'll hit her. Just drifting high.
No, dead ball.
So they're going to say that it's 0-2, is that one?
Yeah, because Marsh clearly let that left arm lean in front of the batter's box, and no real argument some words from Coach Bowman over in the first base dugout. We saw Marsh clearly stick that arm out, so it's going to be a 1-1 count.
Here's the pitch. Rolled foul, and this will add a second strike to the tally.
So Rick Sanzone was right there in front of home plate. Saw Marsh stick out that right arm, immediately called a dead ball.
1-2 on the way for Travers. Hit, foul. That one close to the opposition dugout as we continue. It was her first start of her career against the Fighting Knights. Coda Travers with a pretty good outing, only gave up 1 hit and an unearned run in that game. Steffes and Winters had some difficulties out of the bullpen, allowing the Fighting Knights to get back in the game. That one breaking low, but missing 2-2. But we'll see if Travers can go deeper and how Tampa's bullpen and the freshman that Cantor would like to see a little more success out of today do when their numbers are called. Tipped foul, Marsh barely staying alive. Big thing to note is she has been pretty successful at the plate this season. .355 with 11 RBIs and 1 home run, and just 31 at-bats compared to a lot of her teammates. She doesn't really get action as a designated player when she's not in the circle. And that one goes inside. It'll be 3-2.
Good take by Marsh. Pitch hard and inside once again by the freshman Travers.
Travers one more time, the payoff pitch. Hits a center field. That one's got some carry. Zekman going back. It is over her head. Will be extra bases. Marsh will stay in with a double. Not enough time for the tag. And it's a leadoff extra base hit for the two-way player for the Mustangs, trying to build her own run support for Paris Van Dyke to try to capitalize with an RBI.
And then we're going to have Jordan Marsh will be lifted for the flex player Carly Steck to run at second. When you have a limited roster, you need players who can do multiple things, and that's exactly what you're seeing with Coach Bowman. As Carly Steck will be running at that second base. Big Sanzone giving the signal.
So it's Steck in scoring position. It's Paris Van Dyke at the plate. No outs. Do you bunt the go-ahead run over? Looks like they'll do that. Perfectly placed. Will be a successful sacrifice. And after a collision with her teammate Salisbury, there is still enough time for Newpaver to get a clean throw over to first. That'll put Steck 60 feet away for Haferman.
And this is right, and this is what you want if you're Southwest Minnesota State. You get the leadoff double from Marsh. Van Dyke bunts her over. And now you got two opportunities to bring in Steck from third.
First pitch on the way to Haferman. She'll take high, ball one. Bit of a defensive rise ball to open the at-bat out of Travers. Doesn't want anything dangerous yet. Would have loved to swing and a miss. Haferman has not drawn a walk this season. Swing and a miss, strike one. 0-4 strikeout or walk to strikeout ratio at the plate. She has tallied 3 RBIs on 6 base hits. On the ground and foul. That one rolls behind Kreidler, 1-2. 0 for 2 game for Haferman last time. This is the first time she gets a base runner, however. Batted at the end of the 5th and start of the 3rd in game 1. 1-2 from Travers. Up the middle. He'll keep the runner at third, and that'll be the second out of the inning.
That's exactly what you wanted to have Travers do. Get the ground ball, keep it in front of her, get that runner back at third, and I'll be up to the shortstop, Lexi Ingalls.
Good discipline by Steck just to stay put. She could have tried to run on contact there, but if she did, it would have been out number 2 at the plate. And she'll come home to score in the wild pitch. Toss goes wayward. Probably wouldn't have been in time either way. It's a wild pitch that skips by Kreidler for the first run and lead of the series for the Mustangs.
That's exactly what you wanted to have happen. You had to force Travers to execute and was not able to do so. Another wild pitch brings home the game's first run.
Inglis has a lot less pressure now as she's up 1-0 on the count. And she'll send this one to first. Picked up by Salisbury. Gets back to the bag in time. Inning over. So good thing that the Mustangs got that wild pitch to go their way. If not, that ground out would have ended the frame. But instead, they'll take a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the second. Marsh is fired up and ready to go. An early return to the circle. And even though there are some nasty clouds overhead, we should remain nice and dry here at the Namoli Family Stadium. Ball one, missing high. Up to Jordan Marsh. To Brumble O'Neill. 2 for 3 day earlier for Brumble O'Neill, as she'll go 1-1 in the count now, including an RBI off a triple. Swing and a miss. That'll add a strike to the tally. And it will be 1-2 from Marsh to Brumble O'Neill. That'll be high, 2-2. Salisbury and Johns also away, even including Hannah Yetter. That's a pretty hot-hitting trio that follows one of the most clutch Spartan batters So it'll be Marsh again. Swing and a miss, chasing the high heat. Second strikeout of the day for Marsh, and that will bring up Salisbury.
And that's what Marsh has been doing through the majority of her season. She continues to get rack up the strikeout. She's been solid. It's especially been solid in her trip to the Sunshine State as inside for ball one. Marsh 3-0 in their trip to Florida, including a save against Seton Hill. Now, the ERA is deceiving because all of the hits and runs she gave up versus Northwood in that 8-7 come from behind win. And Salisbury takes a stride to even up the count, 1-1.
So 1-1 now from Marsh. And I know that Marsh and the rest of the staff will be busy as their Florida trip continues. It'll be on Monday, a double header for Southwest Minnesota State. They take on Point Park and then the Lynn Fighting Knights in Bartow. Then they take a trip over to Florida Southern on Tuesday, March 10th, a doubleheader against the Mocs. And on Wednesday, they'll return 3-11 to take on McKendree and American International to close out their Florida trip in Bartow. 6 games over the next 4 days. Will be a busy time as there's a deep fly ball by Rumble O'Neill. Not deep enough. Hafferman makes the catch. 2 down.
So this is exactly what Marsh wants to do. Get contact early. She's been solid. Her previous 5 outings before that start against Northwood, she had given up a total of 13 hits on a run. En route to going 4-1 with 4-0 with a save.
First pitch popped up. Is it in range for the first base player? No, it's off the net. So Abby Johns will stay alive as we continue. 1 for 3 with a walk earlier. And I will say I am a little surprised as they decided to do a revert from Johns batting second. You know, I like the idea to bring Zekman back up as she started to heat back up, but you kind of lose that ability to have that flexible reverse leadoff batter. That one flared just foul. Make it 1-2 now to Abby Johns, as I hope the scoreboard situation gets fixed too.
I think one thing with Coach Cantor, she wanted to give Zekman some confidence, pin it down in the bottom of the order. And then once she realized she has some good at-bats in that game 1 of this doubleheader.
Popped up over to third. And shortstop comes in. Almost a collision between Inglis and Stike. Throwing Steck. Inning over. It'll be 3 up and 3 down for the Spartans. And it'll be a lead maintained by the Mustangs. Little League Day continues at the Namoli Family Stadium, and finally making it to attendance are the West Tampa Little League team. They're going to have an autograph session with the Spartans post-game as we continue in the top of the third. Travers, a solid job so far in the circle as the count goes 1-0, but the Spartans trail by 1 as it's going to be Brett Schneider, Kremlish, and Anderson due up for Southwest Minnesota State. The Mustangs trying to end an 8-game win streak for the Spartans to close out the weekend as the count goes 2-0. Tampa will be active later next week, taking on Caldwell at home in a doubleheader. Then the week after that, in 10 days, they take on Hillsdale in a doubleheader before resuming conference play 2 weekends from now against the Sailfish of Palm Beach Atlantic. It'll be back on the road where Tampa will hope to pick up their first road wins of the year as the count now is 3-0, I believe, to Brett Schneider. And that one's going to be ball 4 A very unforgiving strike zone for the Spartans today. If there was an ump scorecard, I think the Mustangs would have a couple of points of advantage. But you know what Bruce Wozniak likes to say, you can't fight City Hall. Tampa's going to have to find a way to deal with it, and the freshmen will have to find a way to get out of the jam. I'd imagine Kramelish might try to advance the runner. First pitch on the way. She squares up, pulls back, and will take ball one.
Forcing Travers to hit that strike zone, which she's not been able to do in 5 straight pitches to start off the top of the third.
Travers looks all right out there, and we'll see if she gets a bunt now from Kramelish. This time misses the bunt. Runner goes. They'll get her out at second.
Worst case scenario for the Mustangs, you fail to execute the sacrifice, and Brett Schneider gets hosed by a country mile from Kenna Kreidler.
Perfectly executed play there from the Spartans. Kreidler retires another would-be base stealer as the count goes 1-1. That one's going to be rolled over to Yetter. She has to range back and knocks it down, but that's not going to be enough for a base hit. The infield was still playing pretty far in. A single for Kramelish. I don't know if I would call that an error on the play. It would have been a tough spot ranging back like that.
So will be an error charged on Yetter. Trying to get that one, but hit off the glove. So properly scored E4, and that's failed a bunt by Grace Anderson, the catcher.
So 0-1 to Anderson now. The awkward deflection forcing the runner back. That would have allowed Kramelish to advance otherwise. As we continue with her second at-bat of the day, she grounded out to short to start the game back in that first inning. And this time, bunt's fouled. It'll be 0-2. I'm not a big fan of one-out bunting, but you do have some pretty strong batters, Ocker notably, on deck. So the idea is hopefully that Ocker is due for a base hit, and that with a runner in scoring position, she'd extend the 1-0 advantage. It's got to feel good to have a 1-0 advantage here as we continue with an 0-2 count for the Mustangs, especially with your ace in the circle, as the count will go 1-2.
And this is why you like the bunt and one-out situations. You have your ace on the mound. If you want to try to extend your lead, the way that Marsha's been pitching, if you can get yourself a 2-0 lead, any way you can get it done, get it done.
Tipped into the glove. Strike 3. It's the first strikeout for Travers on the day, her 4th of the season. 2 down for Eliza Ocker.
And this is where the execution of those bunts on those first 2 pitches, Tyler, comes back to haunt Anderson, because now you're swinging away, and Travers is able to take advantage to pick up the strikeout.
Swing and a miss on the first pitch. A fastball low and away. And gets another nice whiff there. Humple, grounded out previously, has a base runner to work with 2 down. She'll hit this one foul off of her foot, 2-2.
Yeah, Acker actually is up to play. Acker reached on the air on a good fielding play by Reynolds, but Salisbury dropped it to extend the first inning, which eventually did no harm to Travers as Humble grounded out to short to end the frame.
So no balls and 2 strikes to Acker. Humple awaits in case the inning continues. Down to the dirt, and Kreidler tried to pop up and fire a throw to the runner. Kramelish taking some big leads off of first, but it just popped in and out of Kreidler's glove, so there isn't going to be a back pick on this play. 1-2 coming up again from Travers. Hit it to left field. That is right on the line. The ump's going to call it foul. That would have scored a run if it was fair, but we stay 1-2.
Our ball just sailed a touch outside of the line.
And that is the power we've seen out of Ocker today. You know, she's hit some pretty deep foul balls earlier. And that was another one that could have been really dangerous. 1-2. Tipped foul, so she'll stay alive.
You know, one thing I noticed about Acker, she starts a little bit back and then brings that front foot forward before she wastes the pitch to kind of get that batter a little extra room to travel through the zone.
Popped up to second base, picked up by Yetter, who will make the tag to end the inning. Was in the right place at the right time on the base path to retire the side. There is a bit of danger with the leadoff walk and eventually the error, the second one of the game for the Spartans getting a base runner. But thanks to good defense and a runner caught stealing, it stays a 1-0 game. Tampa looking to cut the deficit when we return. So another quick resumption for Jordan Marsh. She has had a pretty active pace of play in the circle today, and it has been paying off. Hannah Yetter leads off as some of the Spartan players return to the dugout. And Little League Day continues at the ballpark with a couple other Little League teams now in attendance, ball one up high.
It's always nice to see the youth of the sport making their way to the ballpark, seeing some of their favorite players. I saw some of them down below in between games 1 and 2 sneaking to get some autographs before the designated post-game signings after game number 2. And no surprise, saw a lot of them going after number 19, Gwen McGinnis, after another stellar outing from McGinnis. Now 31 in the third inning of scoreless softball.
Dominance from McGinnis. And what a scoop at second to get out number 1. That was a tough play to make, but Humpel comes up with the stop to keep the Spartans hitless. 1 down in the bottom of the third.
Nice shot by Humpel. Had the momentum going towards her once she made that nice back pick. Was able to keep her feet underneath her to make the throw to Acker for out number 1.
This one fouled back. It'll be strike 1 for the Spartan shortstop, Kenzie Reynolds. One thing to keep an eye on is Marsh's pitch count. It doesn't look like it's affecting her at all, and probably won't, as she's had 9 complete games this season. But she is over 40 to start the third inning. This one should be number 42 on the game for her as the count goes 1-1. Tampa's worked some long at-bats against her, and that's exactly what they're going to look to do, capitalizing on the less amount of depth. That is a fair ball, no called foul late.
Fortunate there for Reynolds, or she would have been easily out number 2. But they're going to call that a foul ball. So, and here's the thing with Marsh. She's made 9 starts. She's finished all 9 starts.
She's looking for number 10 as that's down the line and foul. Would have been a tough play for Brett Schneider to get to. It'll stay 1-2. As we continue with Reynolds, she is the lone Spartan that really didn't have a productive plate appearance in game number 1. Went 0 for 2 at the plate. Looking at her other plate appearance, it was, if you take a look, a fielder's choice. This one is an easy choice for the shortstop. Run in and catch the ball. 2 down. And it's back to the top of the order for the Spartans. Newpaver, who went down looking to start the game, gets another try as the leadoff batter. And I really have to commend her defense to the hot corner for her freshman campaign, making a lot of good stops already. She is the opposite batting archetype of Alexa Russo, who was the longtime Spartans third base player throughout her tenure at Tampa, but possesses the strong glove that Russo always showcased. First pitch, ball 1, curving low and in the dirt.
Mustangs looking for their second ever win against Tampa.
That one hit to third. Good scoop by Steck, inning over. Just out in time, and Newpaver takes a bit of a tumble after crossing first base. Looks like she is good to go as she checks in with the umpire if she was safe or not. Dangerous to land on the dirt like that. We'll see if she's all good as Tampa's defense takes the field when we come back. So we continue the action. Mustangs and Spartans from the Namoli Family Stadium. Taylor Storley and Victor Anderson bringing you the action. It's not been the ideal start for Tampa. They're hitless through 3 and trail 1-0. But Travers has been pretty solid in the circle. The lone run coming off a awkward wild pitch.
And really, she was only really made one mistake, and that was that deep double by Jordan Marsh to lead off the second inning, and it was Carly Stecken came on the aforementioned wild pitch. Now Southwest Minnesota State to get the 1-0 lead. And an interesting quirk about Marsh with her 9 complete games. One of those complete games, the season opener versus Seton Hill, was only 6 innings because the game was called due to weather. In that season opener, it was a part of the earlier in the season. That was back on March the 5th. Marsh picked up the win.
Flared the right, but Feast can settle under it. One down on the very first pitch. And that will bring up Marsh back to the plate as she looks to continue helping her day in the circle. Went 0 for 1 in Game 1 as a pinch hitter, but doubled and came home as the go-ahead run in this game. A bit like Jacob deGrom giving himself some run support for the Mets. It's Marsh giving herself run support for the Mustangs. And it'll be strike one. And what's also ironic is that the first hit in each of the games from Game 1 and Game 2 came from both of the pitchers. Back in the second inning, it was Hop pinch hitting for Akar, who had come back as the designated player, designated runner. Catch made by the second base player, 2 down on just 3 pitches in the frame. Good play by Yetter. And then Marsh here in the second, starting with a double and coming on home. That'll bring up Paris Van Dyke with 2 away. Now a chance to swing away after a successful sacrifice was her task in her first try. Ball, strike one low and inside. Looked a little far inside, but the call went the way of Travers this time around.
This is the kind of start that you want to have your Travers, trying to make it her longest outing in her young Tampa career.
And it's going to be 4 innings down with just 2 hits surrendered. Well, actually, scratch that. 1 hit surrendered as we continue. Stellar work for her in the circle. We'll be back with more action on the SSC Digital Network. So a little bit of a correction. Kramalish had a hit in the third inning that we originally had as an error, but the stat page has changed it to a base hit. They're not going to blame Yetter for a very difficult play in the field. So that means it's 2 hits for Travers in 4 innings, a 1-run ball. Stellar work for her in the circle, but it's Jordan Marsh who is 1 step ahead. Continuing the game in the bottom of the 4th. Zekman leads off for the Spartans, 2, 3, and 4 to up.
Zekman, Kryler, Feast 2 up against Jordan Marsh. And Jordan Marsh continues to prove why she's been one of the strongest pitchers in Division II. Last year was mainly out of the bullpen as she drops that in for strike one. She made 35 appearances as a freshman. All but 1 came in relief. Had a school record 10 saves, which was second in the nation.
Down the line and dropped.
But foul.
So close for Kramalish.
Fortunately for Kramalish, it was a foul ball.
0-2 now to Zekman. But indeed, across the sport of softball and also its brother sport, baseball, there are many instances of high-end relievers becoming everyday elite starters, as the count now is fouled back 0-2. One such case, which actually ties the World Baseball Classic, Levon Moinello, who is the ace for Team Cuba, who started his career in Japan as a reliever, one of the best setup men in the nation, and now he is a one-time Pacific League MVP with a sub-2 ERA last season in the circle, and Marsh's numbers are actually even a little bit better, down below 140. 1-2 on the way to Zekman, that fastball missing high, and that changeup freezes Zekman, strike 3.
Marsh drops the hammer down on Zekman on the outer third. It racks up her 3rd strikeout, and Marsh continues to find her dominance against Tampa. She's retired now 7 in a row.
Kryler trying to turn that around, and it is caught. No, dropped by the wall. Extra bases for Kreidler, in and out of the glove of Kramalish. A 1-out double as Tampa gets a hit on the board from Kenna Kreidler. Who else was going to do it?
Well, everybody in the press box thought that was going to sail over the left field fence. And Coach Leslie Cantor will have a pinch runner in for Kreidler with it being a 1-run deficit. And we will see Lennox Ulrich be the runner at second base.
Tricky spot. It'll be Cam Feast at the plate. And while the corners are playing in, you've got Brumble O'Neill on deck. Do you really want to bunt the runner over and give yourself just one chance to advance it? Strike one taken by Feast.
This is why if you're Coach Cantor, you don't have to worry about that because you have Feast and Brumble O'Neal at the plate and on deck as Feast checks that swing, brings the count to 0-2. Because if Feast, the way she's been swinging the stick with the 3-for-3 day in game one, you know if she puts anything in play, at the very least, Ulrich will advance to third and bring a chance for Brumble O'Neal.
Outfield playing at normal depth. And Feast is going to drive it into left field. That is over the head of Kramlish. She ties the game with one swing, and she will go for three. It's a risky call, but the throw is wild. It's a sliding headfirst triple for Cam Feast, and Ulrich is able to easily make it home. Feast stays red hot as Tampa ties it.
And Coach Leslie Cantor clearly gave the stop sign to Cam Feast. Feast was ignoring that sign. She knew something about who was going to get the relay. Ingles' throw was high. Feast slides in the third, and the Spartans tie it up at 1.
That one fouled back. Now strike one to Brumble O'Neal, and I know exactly what Coach Cantor was telling Cam Feast at the end of that play.
No. Like, good job, but when I say stop,
yep,
you stop.
Or also, great job, good play, don't do it again. 0-1 now to Brumble O'Neal. She would love Brumble O'Neal to get another extra base hit RBI. Triple to bring a run home in the previous game, and she'll go down 0-2 with that pop foul fly. We've seen Coach Cantor make some aggressive base running calls for the Spartans throughout the season. It's worked out, I'd argue, at about a 50-50 rate. But this is one where the batter made the decision, and it still worked out. But there's a swing and a miss. An important strikeout for Marsh to get back in rhythm. Her fourth of the game, 3 straight to Brumble O'Neal. That'll bring up Carly Salisbury with 2 down.
And a big opportunity for the freshman Salisbury after she flew out to center in the second inning.
Checked swing holds up as that falls low for ball 1.
They're giving Salisbury a big gap up the middle, so if anything goes over the head of Marsh, that'll give the Spartans the lead.
That's low again, 2-0. Tampa capitalized with some hits down the middle in the 4th and 5th innings in the previous game, something that they actually might be able to do right here again in this game. Now one is also inside, 3-0. Abby Johns is on deck, but she's coming off of a 2-for-2 day, so she's definitely not necessarily an easy out in this position in the order, as it is a 3-1 count, not a 4-pitch walk. Good take by Salisbury. I think in this case, you probably do want to wait till you get either a really good pitch or a full count to swing. One more time, 3-1. Hit into left field. Tampa's in front. Feast comes home.
And again, the Spartans taking advantage with 2 outs. They did that Friday versus Wilmington. They did it in game 1 versus Raleigh Ramsey Hop, and they do it here again. Carly Salisbury with the RBI to give the Spartans a 2-1 advantage.
The invincible Marsh is in trouble as the count goes 1-0. Ball is dropped. Throw to second is not in time as Salisbury will advance on the wild pitch. That one just getting away from Anderson, and Johns now has an even easier job to bring the runner home. Putting the ball in play into the outfield would likely be enough. Salisbury's running on everything with 2 outs. 1-0 now for Marsh, as that's going to hit the corner, 1-1. But a big hit right there for Salisbury. Tampa finally converting some clutch base hits. That was something Coach Cantor had mentioned before the game. As a team, Tampa's been hitting well all season. They're hitting over 300, as that one almost interrupts the warm-up for Winters down in the bullpen. But notably for the Spartans, they just have struggled with leaving runners on base. They haven't struggled with that today, as that's going to be fouled again, and John stays alive on the 1-2 count.
And I think the biggest thing, Taylor, in situations like this is that Tampa, their ability to hit with 2 outs has improved during this week. And that's something that Coach Cantor really has been building on. We're looking into this week's schedule with 6 games in 4 days, executing and getting the runners home with 2 down. As Marsh gets that one inside to even up the count 2-2. We referenced their 2-run scoring ability versus Wilmington, particularly in game 1, and continue that here versus Southwest Minnesota State.
Inside 3-2, and the strike zone has seemed to shrink on Mason continually, struggling to get that 3rd strike. The runner will stay put at second, but ready to run. It's the payoff pitch to Abby Johns, and Marsh looking to get out of what has been a tough inning. It's not going to happen. It's fair down the left field line. Johns will stay at first. No, she's heading to second. The cutoff isn't in time, and the ball goes to right field. Johns is going to go to third. Was she too late on the jump? No, she wasn't. She's safe at third on an RBI double. Tampa leads 3-1 in the bottom of the fourth.
So Johns takes advantage of some errand relays and finds herself all the way to third. And once again, Tampa scoring with 2 outs and now lead 3-1.
I am surprised we haven't seen Coach come out there to talk to the defense as that one's flared to deep left field. Kramelish finally settles under it to make the catch. And I mentioned to talk to the field because there's no need to talk to Marsh. She was immediately ready to go, and after disaster strikes and an error allowed a runner to get to third on that previous RBI hit, Tampa takes the lead with a 3-run bottom of the fourth inning. We're on to the top of the fifth. Top of the fifth, the warm-up continues for Travers, but Victor, it's a big inning here for the Spartans.
Well, not only that, the fact that they have the lead 3-1, but this is the bottom third of the order coming up for Southwest Minnesota State: Hafferman, Ingalls, and Brett Schneider. If Travers wants a chance to keep McGinnis in on the bench as long as possible, it is imperative for her to get through this inning unscathed, preferably 1, 2, 3. Because if she gets into any trouble, what we've seen Wednesday night versus Assumption in Game 2, what we saw Friday night versus Wilmington in Game 2, Coach Cantor is not afraid to go to her All-American in relief. She will prefer not to do that in this particular game, but if Travers throws any sort of trouble, she gets ball 1 to Hafferman, she will go to Gwen McGinnis to close things out.
And that is what McGinnis had told Cantor at the start of the season: throw me as much as you want. The get-out-of-jail-free card, if you will, for the Spartans. Quick play by Reynolds, 1 down on the 1-0 count on a sharp router to short.
And if you can get quick at-bats from Travers, that will not only keep your pitch count down, but keep McGinnis on the bench. And if you really don't need her in those late inning situations like you've had to in 2 games during this homestand this week.
Hit to second. Yetter on a weird hop, gets it cleanly. 2 down on just 3 pitches. Travers is feeling pretty comfortable out there. Has not only improved upon her command, just 1 walk surrendered today, but like McGinnis, hasn't needed too many strikeouts to record some outs. Good work overall by the Tampa defense, despite the 1 error they've had so far. That error coming on a tough play at second, or third, or first. Ball 1 missing down low to Brent Schneider, who walked on 4 pitches in her previous game, but was caught stealing in the at-bat with Kramelish. Chopped foul, 1-1.
Called the catcher's mask of Kreidler. Let's reset the Tampa defense for you. Abby Johns in left. Over in center field will be Aubrey Zeckman. In the right field will be Cam Feast. Around the infield, Carly Salisbury at first, Hannah Yetter at second. Kenzie Reynolds at short, Jenna Newpaper at third, and Kenneth Kreidler behind the plate, catching for the freshman Coda Travers, looking for her second win of her career.
Swing and a miss down low. The low heat gets a big whiff there from Travers. Her pitch count has been pretty manageable today, which means that she could get the chance to go deeper than you'd expect out of her. Maybe a return in the 6th inning. For now, the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Retires the side in order. It's 8 straight outs for Coda Travers, and her second K of the day keeps Tampa in front by 2. You said it was a pretty important inning, Victor. Well, Travers delivered.
She certainly did, and Tampa will look to add to that lead. Up 3-1 as we head into the bottom of the 5th on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
4 extra base hits on the season entering today for Jordan Marsh. 2 doubles and 2 home runs allowed in 62 innings. Tampa have had 3 in today's game, back in that 4th inning. Reynolds, Newpaver, Zekman due up as we begin a new frame. 71 pitches for Marsh, but given that she's gone the distance every single time she has taken the circle as a starter, and technically out of the bullpen too, she finished her lone appearance to get a save. There's no reason that they would change. Picked up at short, 1 away, as it was a missed pickup by Steck, but Inglis had her back.
Good job by Ingles getting that one, as Marsh will look to recover back to the form that she had in the first 3 innings, where she faced 1 batter over the minimum. Jenna Newpaver will be back to the plate. Let's reset the defense quickly for the Mustangs. Kremlish, Hafferman, Brett Schneider, the outfield left to right. Acker, Humpel, Ingles, and Steck, the infield first to third, as that's strike 1 for Newpaver. Grace Anderson behind the plate doing the catching for Marsh.
There is some action over in the bullpen, but you highly doubt that Marsh would get relieved in this situation, as the count goes 0-2. That was an important flyout that she was able to draw from Hannah Yetter with 2 away after Tampa was chaining some very solid offense together in the previous frame. That one's lined and caught at third, just in range of Steck for the second out of the inning. No balls thrown right now for Marsh here in this frame. Had a first pitch ground out and a 3-pitch line out. 2 down for Aubrey Zekman, 0-2 in her move back to the 2-hole.
Zekman was called out on strikes to lead off the 4th, and also grounded out to Humpel at second.
First pitch from Marsh. Slapped on the ground a second, and it takes a weird low hop, but out just in the nick of time. Quick play from Humpel to Acker to end the inning. So Marsh responds with a 1-2-3 frame of her own. Travers 5 strong, and we will see if she returns to the circle or if this will be a call to the bullpen for the Spartans as Tampa takes the field for the top of the 6th. I was able to catch up with Coach Bauman before the first game of the series, and she was able to praise her team about being able to do a lot of different jobs on offense and defense. When I asked if there was anyone that really stood out for her, as there's a leadoff single on the very shallow Spartans infield, Kramlish on board for the second time today. I asked if there was any player she wanted to give a special mention to that maybe hasn't been succeeding on the stat sheet as much but have been doing good. She didn't really have anyone come to mind. She just likes what everyone on the roster has been able to do across the board this season. And I definitely think she'll be happy with this 2-hit day from Kramlish as we continue. 1 on for Anderson. She'll square up. And no chance for the back pick to first as the count goes 1-0.
And when you're with a Mustang team that came into this doubleheader hitting 314 on the season, and 7 players hitting at least 300 or better, and Anderson drops down that bunt, move the runner over. You can understand, when you have a limited roster, you're going to have players get an opportunity to really get in the flow of being in the lineup. And you have players like Grace Anderson who can lay down the bunt, doing your job, and bring up Eliza Acker. And this is a big at-bat coming up for Travers with Humpel and Marsh due behind Acker.
There could be a look to the bullpen for the Spartans, depending on what happens. But for now, Travers continues. First pitch, hit to third and foul. She has kept her pitch count low. It is now only at 55 on the game for her in the circle. Has the chance to go the distance, but needs to escape this spot here. She has a 2-run lead, but a run to cut the deficit to 1 currently sits in scoring position as the count goes 0-2 to Acker.
Got that one off the back of her right ankle.
She advanced to first on an error by Salisbury, just dropped the throw to start the ball game in the first. She was the lone base runner in that first frame. Unsuccessful with a runner on in the third afterwards, hitting it out to Hannah Yetter. Can she escape the infield with this hit? 0-2. Outside, good take, 1-2. Travers trying to chase her third strikeout of the game. Really improving off those command issues that she's had throughout her start of the season. 2 Ks to 1 walk today, forcing a lot of weak contact. And now the 1-2. Ocker line drive, caught at second. They won't turn for a double play as Yetter wasn't close enough. But a great catch at short by Reynolds.
And that's exactly what you need as Travers with every out extends her longest down of her young Spartan career. Had previously went 4 1/3 in her first career start versus West Alabama at Emory-Riddle.
Flared foul and into the bullpen. No, just on the dugout, but right by the bullpen for the Mustangs as the count goes 0-1. Humple the ground out and fly out today, looking for a clutch base hit. 0 for 3 if you look back in game number 1, but she's had 16 RBIs on the season, leading the way for the Mustangs offense. And that one's going to be hit to short, scooped by Reynolds. Throw is low and on target, inning over. An important 3 outs to pick up after a leadoff single. 1 runner stranded, and Travers through 6 innings of 1-run ball. All she needs are 3 more outs. Tampa a chance to extend their lead in the bottom of the 6th when we come back. So they're ready to go in the circle and ready to go at the plate. The heart of the Tampa order ready one more time. Kreidler, Feast, and Brumble O'Neill ready to go. Kreidler was replaced with a pinch runner earlier, but naturally immediately came back in the game on defense. Walked and doubled so far. Scored the tying run on the Feast RBI triple. Tampa then eventually extended their lead. Strike 1, vicious change out of Jordan Marsh. 77th pitch of the game.
In a slight correction, she was pinch run for Hannah Ulrich, who was the one that scored that game-tying run.
Popped up to left. Kramlich has got under it, 1 down. So it won't be a perfect day at the plate for Kreidler, but it's already been successful. For Cam Feast, it's also not perfect. She's only 1 for 2 in this game, but that one she got was pretty important. It delivered Tampa the momentum they needed. An RBI triple against Marsh. Her first pitch is lined and caught at first. Good grab by Ocker. 2 down to bring up Brumble O'Neill. And Marsh is making quick work of the Spartans. But with Travers being relatively confident in the circle, maybe it's a good thing that she gets back up there quickly as we continue. Marsh looking to get her 10th complete game of the season at worst here, as this is a line drive to straightaway center, but in range for Halfman. And on just 4 pitches, it's inning number 6 out of the Mustangs ace. 2 runs, 3 outs, last chance saloon for Southwest Minnesota State to avoid getting swept by the national runner-ups. We'll be right back with more action at the Namoli Family Stadium. Marcia's day might be done in the circle at the end of this inning, but she gets a chance at the plate to try to get the offense going. Leadoff double in the second, popped out in the fourth. She's 1 for 2 today, one of the 3 hits that Southwest Minnesota State have been able to pick up. I'm Taylor Storley, joined by Victor Anderson for Last Chance Saloon. And it's a first pitch grounder flipped to Salisbury, who had tripped on the play, but gets back on her feet for the first out.
Great job, again, getting a big first pitch out for Coda Travers. And I think the big thing with Travers is that she's been given the confidence by Coach Leslie Cantor. Hey, you've earned the opportunity to go deep in this game. We'll give you a chance to close things out.
For this, it could be her first complete game. It wouldn't be a shutout, as that was the early run from Paris Van Dyke with her sac bunt and the wild pitch eventually bringing her home. But now Paris has got the bases empty. What can she do right here? That one's a little high, 1-1. The pitch count's also super low for Travers, only now at 63 in the game. Doing a good job keeping it low, keeping fully rested, I'd say, in terms of stamina. And this one's going to be flared to right field. Would be fair if it drops, but Feast tracks it down for the second out. And all Tampa needs is the final out against Kaylee Halfman, who will stay in the game to try to keep things alive for the Mustangs.
And what a job by Karen Feast staying in the game. Usually was substituted for Joey Trawick late in stretches, but Coach Cantor giving Feast and Travers a chance to close things out.
2 down, first pitch, hit to first, and it slips by Salisbury. Yetter recovers to get out number 3. Wow, a 3-4-3 grounder to end it and save that ball for Coda Travers. She has gone the distance for her first career Spartan shutout and has defeated the invincible Jordan Marsh to give her her first loss of the season, going the distance and winning the game for Tampa. What an effort for the freshman, coming in for this important Game 2 tie and coming out on top to jump to a 2-1 record.
And what a job by her. She only allows 3 hits. She was phenomenal in the circle. First complete game. 65 pitches were all that she needed to pick up the win, and she ended up giving up only 1 hit in the final 4 innings as Tampa gets the win. They now win 9 in a row, and they'll get some well-deserved rest before they play on Friday the 13th as they take on Caldwell.
What a day there for the Spartans on offense. A 5-0 and 3-1 win to close out a pretty hectic set of matches. From Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 6 games and 6 Spartan wins. Jumping now, as you mentioned, Victor, to 9 straight after that sweep against the St. Leo Lions. It's taken a little bit of time for this Tampa team to get into gear. And with the young bucks, maybe you could call them, they are now cashing out and delivering some big runs. You got to feel for Southwest Minnesota State. They have played also some stellar softball here down in Tampa. But they've got to be like goldfish. They cannot linger on these 2 losses. They will embrace the opportunity to learn from an elite program like Tampa. Coach Bauman mentioned she always enjoys the chance to take on tough teams like Tampa, as they will continue a very active slate of games. The next 3 days after an off day tomorrow will be 6 more matches where you imagine it'll be Marsh twice, as well as their other starter, Hop twice, or 3 times potentially, as they look to continue to get back into the win column after their 3-game losing streak got snapped with 2 straight losses to the Spartans. So, that'll do it from the action after just 2 hours of play. Game 1 lasted 1 hour and 12 minutes. This one, 1 hour and 2 minutes. Bit of speed running action today from the Namoli Family Stadium. And we'll be back next week on the 13th for more Spartan softball. Baseball will also be back in town, and both our athletic programs should be exciting must-see matchups this weekend. Taylor Storthy for Victor Anderson. Your Spartans end on a high note, 3-1. They'll close out on top. See you next time on the SSC Digital Network.